GFI outlet when tested reads hot/neutral reverse. When I look at the wires, everything seems to be in the proper position. Any idea what might be the issue? Wires are attached to both the line and load side.
Hello. Welcome to JustAnswer. My name is I will be assisting you. Please note that you may see an offer for a phone consultation, for an additional fee. This offer is automatically generated by the website, and does not originate from me. You can ignore it, unless you would like a phone consultation. Often, that reading is an indication of an open neutral connection. Do you have a voltmeter you can use to take a few readings? If you can get a meter, please take a reading from the hot black wire to its associated white wire. These two wires will come from the same outer jacket. If you aren't sure which black is live, you can disconnect all wires from the outlet and only one of the black wires should read live. That is the black that goes on the set of terminals marked line on the back of the GFI outlet. The other wires in the box would be the load wires. Black wires go to black or brass or gold colored screws, and white wires go to silver screws. Please make sure the wires stay grouped in sets, coming from the same outer jackets. The readings from the hot black to its associated white wire and bare ground wire should both be around 120 volts.
Okay, then what?
If you have 120 volts across those two readings, the power is normal on the set of wires that goes on the line terminals. If you don't have 120 volts from black to white, you'll need to find the previous box on the circuit and open it to check for a loose white wire.
While I haven't tested yet, I'm pretty sure the line is hot. Assuming I get 120 V, what is the next step?
If you get 120 volts from black to white on the line set, go ahead and connect them to the line terminals. Black wire goes to black, gold, or brass screw, and white wire goes to silver screw. You can then tie in the load set to the load terminals. I would have the circuit breaker off after identifying the line set and making sure the readings are normal. The breaker needs to stay off until the outlet is mounted in the wall box. You can then turn the breaker on and test operation. If the outlet doesn't work, it could be a lemon, right out of the box. I have had that happen a few times over the years.
Don't think it's the outlet. Had another one on there. Same problem. I think I'm going to have an outlet with 120 V with hot/neutral reverse. Won't know for sure until I test. Is there anything further I can do if that is the case?
If that happens, I would find the next box upstream on the GFI circuit, and go through that box to check all connections. I need to sign off for the night, but I will be happy to assist you further with this issue tomorrow if you need more help. I usually log on in the morning for a short time, and then again in the early afternoon.
Thanks. Will do. 0.5 star given.
I really appreciate that. Were you able to make any progress with the GFI outlet?
Going over later, thanks.
Sounds good. Please post here when you are at the site, if you can. Thank you.
I am here. As I expected, the outlet is hot. 120 volts. Hot neutral reverse. Unfortunately, I cannot find the upstream outlet. The downstream outlets are in the bathroom. Any suggestions?
If you turn off the circuit breaker that feeds the non-working GFI, you could then go around to other nearby outlets and switches, to see if they are off. If they are, that tells you which boxes are on the same circuit. This is basically the method used to make a circuit map. Once you have that diagrammed on paper, you'll know which boxes to open to continue your troubleshooting. Otherwise, you'll need to borrow a circuit tracer in order to figure out where the wires in the GFI box originate from. I wouldn't plan to purchase a circuit tracer, as even the basic models are quite pricey. Many electrical supply stores rent them out to customers. Or, you could bring in a local contractor who has one. The odds are good that the wire could be traced in an hour or less, meaning you would only have to pay for their minimum service call rate.
Thanks. Once I find the box, what is the most likely scenario for the wiring problem in the upstream outlet?
I would be looking for loose connections, particularly on the white wires. But whenever I open a box to troubleshoot issues of this type, I always check every connection in any boxes I open.
The outlet in question is right near the breaker box. What if this is the first outlet from the box?
It may be the first outlet after the breaker panel. I was going to ask you if that was a possibility earlier, but it's so rarely the case that I assumed it wouldn't be. That's a bad assumption on my part. So, you could have a loose wire in the panel, on the circuit that feeds the GFI.
I opened up the breaker box. Breaker question is different from the rest. It actually has two white wires going to it, one white wire the house. Another white wire connects the breaker to the white wire bus board. All wires seem secure. I meant to say breaker in question seems different from the rest.
Sounds like you have a GFI breaker protecting a GFI outlet. This is a redundant setup, and isn't really necessary. Because the breaker is a GFI type, you can replace the GFI outlet with a standard outlet. On the GFI breaker, there should be a white tail that connects to the neutral bar in the breaker panel. Then, the white wire for the circuit connects to a silver terminal on the breaker. Are you able to post a photo of the GFI breaker, showing all wires?
What you are describing appears to be the case. There was a regular outlet attached to those wires previously. It also tested hot neutral reverse. What I am saying is the problem seems to be the same with regular outlet and GFI. Your description of the breaker in the box seems to be exactly what I am seeing.
Since you have a GFI outlet in the first box on the circuit, you could leave it in place, and replace the GFI breaker with a standard breaker. That way, the circuit's white wire would go to the neutral bar, and you would know it had a good connection.
I guess that is all I can try at this point. Do you think that might solve the problem?
I think there is a really good chance that will resolve the issue, especially if the GFI box is the first box on the circuit, after the breaker panel.
Thanks. I guess I will give it a try.
Sounds good. Please post an update here after swapping out the circuit breaker.
Will do. Thank you again for sticking with me.
Of course. Happy to help.
Do you think Home Depot will have Gould 20 amp breaker?
They probably won't have that brand. However, they may have a generic brand that has been approved for installation in a Gould panel. You can look at the packaging in the store to see if Gould is listed as a suitable panel for installation of the new breaker. Are you still at the property now? If so, You can temporarily swap out the GFI breaker for a standard breaker that is already in the panel. Just make sure it has the same amp rating as the GFI breaker. Then, you can test again to see if the hot/ground reverse condition has been remedied.
The panel return white wire on the breaker does not have a screw. Can I just cut it?
You can cut it at the circuit breaker, or at the panel's neutral bar. Either way, I wouldn't leave it in the panel permanently.
Never mind. I just unscrewed it from the bus bar.
Okay. Were you able to find a standard breaker in the panel, with the same amp rating as the GFI breaker? Are you temporarily moving the outlet circuit to a standard breaker now? Okay. Please let me know if that corrects the issue.
You are a genius. The problem appears to be solved. The only piece of the problem left is the replacement breaker. Do you think Home Depot will have Gould 20 amp breaker?
They probably won't have a Gould brand, but they may have a generic brand that has been approved for installation into your panel.
Generic is okay as long as I can find something that fits. Do you think that will be a problem?
Ideally, you should make sure the breaker you install is rated for installation in your panel. That will be detailed on the packaging.
How do I know if it is rated for my panel?
It will list your panel brand on the packaging if it is approved for installation in your panel. I need to sign off for about an hour. I'll log back in after a Zoom meeting I need to attend.
Thanks.
My Zoom meeting is over, so I have a few minutes to discuss this issue further. Do you have any updates for me? Will you be looking for the new breaker at Home Depot today? Or will you be shopping for it tomorrow?
Tomorrow, thanks. I will let you know.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Is there any chance you could figure out which breaker available at Home Depot would be a match for a Gould 20 amp by looking at photos? Looks like the Siemens might match. I'll try that one.
Ideally, you shouldn't cross brands unless the Siemens breaker is listed as suitable for installation in your Gould brand panel. Please check the Siemens packaging and the listing on the door of the Gould panel. If you don't see listings in either location that indicate the Siemens breaker is suitable for the Gould panel, you should contact your local electrical inspector and/or your homeowner's insurance company to inquire about using it. We don't want to create any liability for you by using a breaker that isn't approved.
I've been told Type QP Siemens breaker, catalog #Q120, is compatible replacement for Gould. Can you verify? Thanks. Big problem. Now all of the outlets downstream from the new one are reading hot neutral reverse. What do I do?
There are only a couple of scenarios that would cause that reading. 1. The black and white wires would have to actually be on the wrong screw terminals, but I don't think any of yours are. The other possibility is a loose white wire at the start of the string of outlets that are showing that test reading. This is the more likely scenario. To correct this, you'll need to open outlet boxes on the affected circuit, and go through all connections. If you find outlets connected via the small push-in holes on the back, I would redo the connections by curling the wires around the screws on the sides of the devices.
Not sure I'm understanding. Those outlets were all perfect before we put in the new breaker. Since we put it in your breaker first, outlet is fine. Now all the other ones are reversed. Don't understand how it could be a loose wire. If it was a loose wire, why were the outlets okay to begin with? Something got reversed when the new breaker was installed.
Did you connect the circuit white wire to the neutral bar in the breaker panel, and the circuit black wire to the circuit breaker in the panel? If so, there is no polarity reversal. Anytime a circuit is turned off for maintenance, there is the possibility that connections that are warm from being loaded will cool down and contract. That can cause the problem you are seeing. If the devices are connected via the small push-in holes on the back, I strongly recommend redoing the connections using the terminal screws on the sides. That often corrects the issue you are having.
I definitely connected white wire and black wire as suggested. I'll check the outlets to see how they are wired.
Okay. Please post an update here after checking that.
I checked the first downstream outlet from the GFI. 2 of the wires were actually reversed. I corrected and now everything seems to be working. So, good news. If you could help me solve the final piece of the puzzle, it would be greatly appreciated. The Q120 Siemens breaker appears to be a perfect match. Can you find a source that verifies it is a valid replacement for the Gould?
I'm glad to hear you found a set of wires reversed, and were able to correct it. Please see the website found at this link. It has relevant information regarding Gould now being under the umbrella of the Siemens family of products. In addition, it appears you can buy a Gould breaker through that site. That would resolve the issue altogether, as there would no longer be a question about crossing brands.
Good news. The folks at the link you provided confirmed the Siemens breaker is a good replacement for the Gould. Thanks again.
I'm really glad to hear that. I sincerely have a blessed day.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/ythi.